Welcome to a Face the Facts USA debate. Today, long-term unemployment. I'm Frank Sesno from the George Washington University. Our fact at Face the Facts USA cites that in 2011 we had the most long-term unemployed at any time since 1948 when the government started keeping records. Joining me to discuss this and debate this today, Shane Larson of the Communication Workers of America and Holly Wade, the National Federation of Independent Business. Shane, should government take a role in putting the long-term unemployed back to work?
Yes, the government definitely should take a role in putting the long-term unemployed back to work.
How? Putting it on government rolls itself?
No, there are ways for the government to, for one, incentivize jobs, to make sure, for example, we've had 4.6 million jobs created in the public sector in the last 30 months. But you know why the economy is still suffering and why the unemployed are still out there? Is because we've seen a large number of public sector workers that have been unemployed. The teachers, the firefighters, the police officers. If the federal government can help provide them to get back to work, that's going to have a ripple effect in the economy to keep people spending and get the jobs created.
Holly, should the government have a role in putting the long-term unemployed back to work, as he says?
I also agree that they do have a role in that, but on the other side of that, they should limit the cost barriers for the private sector. So lowering tax rates, limiting regulations and labor costs so that they can take advantage of any recovery that they are feeling in their business to expand and grow their business and hire new workers. That for our small businesses is the best way to go about increasing GDP and revitalizing the economy.
Who's going to provide more work for the long-term unemployed, small businesses or the public sector? Holly?
I think it has to be the public sector. They're the ones that grow GDP and the economy in general.
The public sector?
The private sector.
Small jobs, small businesses.
Small businesses. We create 2/3 of all new jobs.
2/3?
We grow half of the economy in the small business sector, and so that's where the focus for small businesses and in the private sector in general needs to be.
Your response?
I don't think it's an either or, Frank. I mean, you have to have government employment in terms of the teachers educating the future workers of this country. You need to have government investment in the infrastructure so those powerful small business owners can get their products to market. I mean, we've got bridges and roads, subways crumbling all around this country. How is a small business owner going to get what the great new product that they've created to market if the roads are falling apart and there's no way to get it in there?
You both know one of the chief criticisms about the government's role in putting people back to work. The government invests in infrastructure. The pipeline before a project gets underway is so long, it takes so much time that the private sector can turn on a dime and do something that government can do in a much more efficient way. Your response to that?
I think that there's still a role for the government to play in all of that, Frank.
That's not what I asked. What I asked was, isn't the private sector much more efficient than government in creating jobs?
No.
I would have to say so. They are more timely, and if you're going to have a stimulus, which I don't think is the most effective way to use taxpayer resources to pay for something like this when you're trying to stimulate the economy, but they need to be timely, targeted, and temporary, and these stimulus programs are none of those.
Your hesitation gave me pause. Why did it take you a minute to say no?
Because can the private sector get a job up and running immediately? Yes. Much more quicker than the government can. I would agree with that. But is it smart and strategic? I think the government can set the priorities for the long-term goals of the country. And that's the role the government can play as a country. What are we going to invest in? What kind of jobs are we going to be creating for the country for the future?
Last question to you both. The special burden that the long-term unemployed person carries is that they've been out of the job market for 6, 8, 12, 14 months. They've lost their contacts. They may have fallen behind on the technology. The job itself may have gone away. They're now seen as a stale product, perhaps. And it's a brutal thing to your own mind, right? What role should anybody play? How do you fix that in putting the long-term unemployed back to work? Or are you just on your own?
No, I think there is a role in trying to match the skill gap between those companies that want to hire and maybe a pool that doesn't have the skills that are necessary for those open jobs.
Who does that?
So that would be a role for government, for universities to try to target those groups of people. Instead of putting so much in stimulus money, it should be more targeted to matching private job availability and the unemployed that are looking for jobs.
Less stimulus, more placement. That's what you said.
I would actually agree with her. Stimulus money is not just building roads. $100 billion of the $800 billion of the economic stimulus plan under Obama was targeted towards education. And part of that is community colleges. Who better than to have a community college that can identify what skills are needed in that area and then tailor the education programs available to those long-term unemployed to get them to work in those areas.
Yep. Yes. Holly Wade, Shane Larson, thanks to you both. Sign up for a fact of the day. You get it delivered right to your mailbox every day, and you can lead the conversation at the water cooler. Till then, I'm Frank Sesno. Thanks for watching.